project I was working on, and here I was, you know, just bought this Angus Mackirk mini long tom sluice, and you know, you can lay it in the river or whatnot like that, and have a good chance at getting everything level and catching gold and all that. I'm pretty new to prospecting, so I didn't want to go dish out a whole bunch of money. I've done a little bit of prospecting in certain little creeks by my area or whatnot, but not a whole lot. I am in North Carolina, so there's some decent gold that can be found in certain areas. With this, I wanted to make something simple to be able to keep the level of the sluice in the river at certain heights of water, make it easier than having to, you know, level it out with rocks and whatnot. But I also wanted to be able to change this from a river sluice stand to an at-home recirculating system, which could be higher up. Because, you know, I didn't want to lug these big old PVC pipes with me to the rivers and creeks and stuff. I wanted to pack light, so I made this small little stand here, which is adjustable. And ideally, you will keep this section in for support if the level ground is level. However, if you do find yourself needing to change the level of the ground, you can take that out and say, we'll say this right here was like a rock that needed to, you know, be higher up or something. You can actually, with this method, you know, you could have it at different levels and still keep your sluice level, that's the primary reason I made it small, compact. It's pretty stable enough once you put a rock on there, and it's pretty easy to take on and off, and pretty light. And if you needed to do the same to the back, you could do the same thing. Take out this little PVC pipe here and make different heights in the legs. Now, what I also did was, because I didn't really know how stable this would be, the first method I did was the at-home recirculating sluice, which I will show. I have previous content where I showed you kind of how I made that one, which still applies to this one. The only thing difference is the legs, you know, and this one doesn't have some of the other stuff, the other one, and I'll go through and show you that one too. But what I did also was I took some tees, because this is all 3/4 inch pipe, and I took like a spade bit and drilled out the inside of those things, so essentially this can go all the way through now, you know, no problem. And by doing that, I can have adjustable support. So if I didn't feel like this was stable enough, I could actually put this on here as some additional support, you know, to stabilize the sluice and give it a little more stability. And you don't really necessarily need that. However, I felt, why not? These were like 50 cents a piece. And most of this stuff was just PVC I had lying around anyways. So it was really no big deal. Now, to give you kind of the gist on how I built some of this, this is mostly applies to the Angus Mackirk sluice, because, you know, these Angus Mackirks do have rivets on most of these sluices, and you could adjust it to any of those sluices. And that's why I kind of like, if it all means you can leave these things in, I'm going to try to, because it's a lot more stable that way. And I mean, for clean out wise, I feel like this could potentially just be a pretty easy clean out here. I mean, I just made it so it just kind of like pops out. So this can just pop right out. You take it and you can essentially, if you have a rock down here holding the stand in place, you know, you could essentially just leave the stand where it is, take out the sluice, it just pops right out, and I might use this strap to strap around this thing to make sure it doesn't flow away. And then you take it to your bucket and wash it out. And then when you want to put it back in, you know, it's not too hard. I mean, it just pops right back into the holes. And voila. Put the strap back on it if you want to. I mean, I don't even think you really need to. If you put a rock on here, I don't even think you need the strap, but I might do it for traveling, because if I have it on my backpack, I don't want this falling off and breaking or something. So I might just keep these Velcro straps handy just to keep this and this together. So, I mean, you see how easy that is. Now, give me 1 minute and I will show you the final version of the recirculating system. Almost the final version, that is. Stay tuned. All right, I got this set up again, and this version is the at-home stand. Subtle differences with the river stand. Obviously, one being it's a lot bigger, more support, and it's kind of set up to be able to go into a bucket, adjust a lot higher height you can go. So, I mean, I kind of designed this for that reason. So I could take it, the same essential pieces, and use it as a stand in the river as well as using the stand here at home for, you know, processing cons or whatnot. Because this sluice, from what they say on the website, is for low production as well as reducing your cons down to the heavies, you know. So there's not much difference between this version and that, except, you know, I got this top on here for stability to keep it, you know, from wobbling all around. And you can see some of the add-ons I have on here to make it a little more efficient. And I'm going to cut and show you some of it firsthand in closer view. And you can see how that support I was showing you earlier, where I drilled out the inside of those T's and sanded it out. I used a spade bit and then a grinder to do that. You can see how that comes in handy just with this one too, because this is it can be a little wobbly without this, because I mean there's such high PVC pipes, you know, and with that, without support, you know, it can wobble a bit. But with this support, it's pretty sturdy, and, you know, you can essentially put something on the sluice up here, weigh it down, or even up on top to stabilize it a little more. Or if you wanted to, you could take these, extend those out and make a little more stability down there. And just for some summary, these are just conduit brackets, and you know, you can see in here I bought like a square nut, and that square nut digs into the PVC pipe when you tighten it. And then I just got a regular hex nut up there, and I bought these wing nut bolts so you can adjust it on the fly in the river. It makes easy adjustments. And then I just use a level to level it out. I think right now it's adjusted at a 5% pitch heading into that bucket. So, I mean, with stability wise, it's looking pretty good. And you can, and then it's just down in here. It should work fine. You put a bucket down there, I'll catch it, you know. So, and I also, just for another stability, I wasn't trusting this one nut to hold this. So I actually drilled a hole over here, and I ran a zip tie around that bracket as well, and through the hole for extra stability. And I did the same similar thing to the front. I'm sure you saw it, just with a zip tie running around, just to give it some extra support. If that nut was to come off, it wouldn't fall apart. And I also put blue Loctite on those nuts in there to hold it in place. But this is the final thing I designed, and this ain't much. These are all, most of this stuff was just all stuff I had laying around the house. I think only spent like $20, maybe $30 at most on materials to build this stand. I mean, not much. I had a lot of the PVC pipes. I had the LED, which I'm about to show you now. I built an LED light, and this light is a angel eye light, and this section here was just some old light that I was about to throw away, and I just popped in my head that I could maybe convert that into a way to hold my LED light, and I did a whole bunch of rigging to get this to work. But it has bolt holes on here. It's adjustable up and down. So I'm thinking I'm either gonna, and I soldered a connector to go with my Gooloo Power pack, which this thing is great if you're running recirculation. I use it to run my 12-volt recirculating pump and everything. I've used it to run a 12-volt dredge. I mean, this thing is awesome. But I have it soldered in so I can use that. And it's not the most powerful light, but it gives you some supplemental lighting. And I haven't decided if I want to put it over here, which I felt like that gave you the more even view, because I mean, this is rotatable in any direction, up, down, left, right, and to have it in the middle kind of gives you light across the whole thing. Just thought I would share. So if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. I'll try to piece this together so it gives you some type of sense on how I built it. It's mostly straightforward. I just measured the PVC to fit this particular sluice with some, and built it around the size of the sluice. If you had a bigger Angus Mackirk, like the Adventurer or the Explorer, of course you're going to have to design it completely different than mine, and it might actually be more stable because this is such a narrow sluice that I had to kind of design the edges to keep it from wobbling. But I got it pretty sturdy. The real test is going to be when I'm down at the river and seeing how it works. I'm excited. You guys have any thoughts on the Angus Mackirk line of sluices? Let me know, and I'll get back to you when I try mine out, and hopefully I'll get some gold. Till next time, y'all rock out!